Hey, what's going on, y'all? Welcome to the world of battle rap. I'm your host, J.Chris. So let's get started. So, just this past weekend, we had World Domination 6 presented by King of the Dot, and overall, they had some good matchups. I mean, some matches were better than others, but overall, it was just 2 good days of dope MCs coming together to spin their energy, especially with the title match with Rome versus Caustic. But we gonna get into that in a minute. But right now, here's a recap for day one. So the first matchup we had was Realistic versus Dundee. And for this one, I had Dundee taking it 3-0. I felt like Dundee had better bars, had better charisma, he had better stage presence, better performance than Realistic did. And he basically killed him every round. So, I definitely gave Dundee that battle 3-0. So the next match we had was Quill versus Ellipsis, and I actually have Quill taking this one 2-1. I felt like he had a better performance than Ellipsis did. You know, he had better bars, he had better performance, and for that reason, I definitely gave Quill the battle 2-1. Now in the next matchup we have Shoddy P versus Peanut, and I actually had Peanut taking this one 2-1. And I felt like they both had the bars, they both had good punchlines and haymakers, but I felt like Peanut was better when it came to the stage presence and when it came to the performance. And like I said in my last blog with Shoddy P, he gets a little nervous when he's coming out like in the big stages, but hopefully he gets over that, within time. But for now, I have Peanut taking this one 2-1. He had a good stage presence. That's the thing that kind of took him over the top in this one. So shout out to the both of you guys, and definitely a good battle. But I had Peanut taking this one 2-1. Now this matchup we have Arcane versus Chilla Jones. Now originally Arcane and Chilla Jones was supposed to take place at day two, but instead they switched out with Real Deal versus 100 Bullets. So this one took place at day one instead. So for this matchup, I definitely gave Chilla Jones the battle 2-1. I felt like they both had good bars, they had good schemes, but I felt like Chilla Jones overtook Arcane in the first 2 rounds. Because Arcane came out and the first thing he started talking about was this whole scandal with the ghostwriting and Caustic, ratting him out and everything. So his focus really wasn't on his opponent, and that's why I kind of gave him gave Chilla Jones the first round and the second. So for that reason, I have Chilla Jones taking this one 2-1. Now for this matchup, we had Sharon versus Bonnie Godiva, and in this one, I had Sharon taking it 2-1. I felt like Sharon's bars were just it's a little bit too much for Bonnie Godiva to handle, But in the third round, she picked it back up. She definitely came with him with punches after punches after punches. But the only thing I didn't really feel comfortable was when she did a dick check to freaking Sharon. You know how motherfuckers do the pocket checks? No. She did a fucking dick check right to his nuts at the end of the battle. I was like, whoa. Like, that shit was just over the top. But other than that, I felt like Bonnie did take the third round from him. So she did prevent it from being a 3-0. But Sharon definitely took this battle 2-1. Now for the first main event, we have Arsenal versus Kotd'S. And in this one, I had Arsenal taking the battle 2-1. They both had the bars, they both had punchlines, they definitely had, the jokes, and they both had stage presence, but I felt like what took Arsenal over the top is his aggression. They both were aggressive, but I think Arsenal was just a little bit more aggressive. And he kind of channeled in his old school Arsenal, the one that we're used to, the one with the bars and fully prepared and with the aggression and not choking and not bullshit on the fucking hovercraft or pulling out the phone or any of that type of shit. I feel like we had the original back to his old self type Arsenal. And for that reason, I gave him the battle 2-1. And, this is like one of his last battles he's going to be having this year because he's supposed to be retiring after the end of this year. So it looks like he just wants to go out with a bang. And, I don't blame him. And that's just the best way to do it, especially when you're retiring and you've given the game all you got. And, hey, nothing wrong with giving it a little bit more before you leave. So I definitely give Arsenal this battle 2-1, but definitely a good shout out to Arsenal and Cortez for making this a very good, entertaining battle. So for this main event for day one was Iron Solomon versus Charlie Clips. And for this one, I had Iron Solomon taking it 2-1. They both had bars, obviously. They definitely have punchlines. They both had haymakers, but I felt like Iron Solomon was just more consistent with his in each round. Whereas, Charlie Clips, he came for the first round and kind of fell off the other two. And even with that, he spent his second round, the entire second round, talking about a dude's nuts. Or, for y'all know, he only has, Iron Solomon has one testicle. So he spent that whole round talking about just that. And for that, I gave, Iron Solomon a second and a third. But for that reason, I definitely gave this battle Iron Solomon 2-1. So basically, that's day one in a nutshell. But don't go anywhere, because we got a recap on day two, including the title match with Roan versus Caustic. So stay tuned. Hey, what's going on, y'all? I'm back. So let's recap for day two. So for the first matchup of day two, we had Mad Flex versus Aftershock. And for this one, I had Mad Flex taking it 2-1. I felt like, he had the better bars, had the better stage presence, had the better punchlines than Aftershock. I mean, Aftershock, he did his thing, but for the first two rounds, he was a little shaky, and then after the third round, that's when he started, picking up. But it was kind of late because, Mad Flex already took the first two rounds, and he was a lot more consistent than Aftershock. And so for that reason, I gave Mad Flex the battle 2-1. So for this matchup, we had Sketch Menace versus Unanimous. And for this one, I gave Sketch Menace the battle 2-1. Although Unanimous, he was very charismatic. He had a lot of jokes. But, I'd rather hear bars than jokes. But, if you can at least incorporate the two, that'd be cool. But I felt like Sketch Menace was a little bit more consistent when he hit hard with the punchlines. And I feel like his bars are just a little bit more structured as well. So for that reason, I gave Sketch Menace this battle 2-1. Now, in this matchup, we had 100 Bullets versus Real Deal. And for this one, I had Real Deal taking the battle 2-1. I felt like, they both had bars. They both had the punchlines. Both had the little haymakers here and there from both of them. But I think what took Real Deal over the top is his delivery, whereas 100 Bullets didn't really have the delivery. He didn't really have a way to bring his bars to the crowd. And I feel like that's his problem because he always comes correct with the bars, but I feel like his delivery is just not there. Kind of like the Dead Man's problem as well. But I feel like it was just not there. And I think that's what took Real Deal over the top, and that's why I have him winning this battle 2-1. So the next matchup we have was Head Ice versus Big T. And for this one, I gave Head Ice the win 2-1. I felt like, they both had the bars. They both had the delivery, but I feel like what took Head Ice over the top was, he has very powerful delivery. He makes you feel whatever the fuck he's saying, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like he really brought it in this battle as far as the delivery went. And not to take anything from Big T, because he's a beast, you know what I'm saying? But I felt like he was kind of slow, trying to get his punchlines and everything together within the first two rounds. But in the third round, he picked it up. But for that matter, I felt like, Head Ice still took it, 2-1. Now, in this matchup, we had Thesaurus versus Toomey. And for this one, I had Thesaurus winning the battle 3-0. I felt like, Thesaurus came with it in every single round. Whereas Toomey, he was kind of stumbling a little bit and, he was almost choking, but, they had bars, both of them. They both had good punchlines. I just felt like Thesaurus was more prepared than Toomey was. And it could be the fact that, this is Toomey's first debut on King of the Dot, so maybe he was a little nervous. But for that matter, I felt like Thesaurus still took the battle 3-0. But I'm pretty sure he will come back and he'll definitely, make a better impression. But for now, I definitely had him losing this one to Thesaurus 3-0. Now for this matchup, we have Pat Stay versus Sirius Jones. And for this one, I gave the battle to Pat Stay 2-1. But for some of y'all who gave Sirius Jones the battle 2-1, wouldn't be mad at all, because this one was very debatable. I felt like in this one it came down to the second round, because I've had Pat Stay win in the first round and I had Sirius Jones win in the third. But for this one, for me, Pat Stay took the second round, because he started off very strong, but he kind of let it die out towards the end. Whereas Sirius Jones, he started off very, very slow, and he picked up towards the end. So I felt like Pat Stay was just a little bit stronger in this battle, and he was just a little bit stronger in in the second round, and because that was the most debatable round out of the whole thing. But they definitely both came with the bars. They both came with the jokes. They both came with the punchlines. Shout out to the both of them, because they both did a great job in this one. But I had Pat Stay taking this one 2-1. But if you have Jones winning it, wouldn't be mad at all. But overall, it was a very entertaining battle from the both of these guys. So now we reach the main event of the entire card, which is the King of the Dot Chain title match between Rome versus Caustic. And for this one, they definitely came with it, both of them. Came with their stuff, but when it came down to it, since it was a judge match, just like every other King of the Dot match is, they gave it to Rome, which means Rome retains the title. And you know what? I don't blame him, because after watching this matchup, I definitely gave the matchup to Rome 2-1. I felt like Rome came with better bars. He came with the better punchlines. I felt like his jokes, everything hit just a little bit harder when Rome came out with his stuff. I felt like Rome came out in the first and the third round. And for the third round, Rome really came at Caustic, basically calling him a hypocrite, because when Caustic is the one who basically shouted out Arcane when it came to the ghostwriting, but then Rome turned it around and basically called him a hypocrite, exposing him, saying that he was the one also borrowing bars from other rappers, and basically saying that, he's a snake, he can't be trusted. So he really hit him hard in the third round. So I gave him the first and the third round for Roan. So shout out to Roan. You keep your chain for another matchup, and let's see what happens at Blackout 7. So there you have it. World Domination 6 by King of the Dot. Very good 2 days of great MCs coming together, spitting that heat. Definitely a good thing to watch. No drama whatsoever, unlike some other cards or Legacy 3. But other than that, everything was good. So until then, enjoy the Labor Day weekend. That's what's left of it. For y'all here in New York, y'all gonna go see that West Indian Day Parade. Go ahead. I suggest y'all would do that. But be safe out there. Do no violence or all that bullshit. Leave that shit at home. So just have a good time and enjoy the rest of the Labor Day weekend. But until then, until next time, I'm J.Chris. Please subscribe or follow me at Twitter at J.Chris365. Thank y'all for watching. Nothing but love for y'all. Peace.